Jaya Radha Astottara Shatasri Shrimadbhagavatam Saranavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Yo Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajkacharya Astottara Shatasri Shrimadbhagavatam Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada ki Name se Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam ki Srila Prabhupada ki Hare Krishna. Welcome to Devsavan Mandir ISKCON Detroit Shrimadbhagavatam morning class. Today we are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 13, Dhritarashtra quits home, text 15. So let us start with invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam
Namaskrityam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudire
Jayamudire
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktar Bhavati Naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So, we are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 13, Dhritarashtra quits home, text 15. Abhibrat Aryama Dandam Abhibradaryama Dandam Abhibradaryama Dandam Yatavad Agakarisu Yatavad Agakarisu Yatavad Agakarisu Yavad Tadhara Shudratvam Yavad Tadhara Shudratvam Shapad Varsha Shatam Yama Shapad Varsha Satam Yama Shapad Varsha Satam Yama. Anyone would like to repeat? Abhibradharyama Yatavadadagarishu Yavatthadhara Sutratvam Yavad Sapad Varsha Satam Yama. So let us go through word by word. Abhibrat, administer. Aryama, Dandam, punishment. Yatavat, as it was suitable. Agakarisu, on to persons who had committed sins. Yavat, as long as. Dadara, accepted. Shudratvam, the tabernacle of a Sudra. Shapa, as the result of a curse. Varshasatam, for 100 years. Yamaraja. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Saranavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. As long as Vidura played the part of a Shudra, being cursed by Manduka Muni, Aryama officiated at the post of Yamaraja to punish those who committed sinful acts. Please repeat. As long as Vidura played the part of a Shudra, being cursed by Manduka Muni, Aryama officiated at the post of Yamaraja to punish those who committed sinful acts. Perfect. Vidura, born in the womb of a Shudra woman, was forbidden even to be a party of royal heritage along with his brothers Dhritarashtra and Pandu. Then, how could he occupy the post of a preacher to instruct such learned kings and Kshatriyas as Dhritarashtra and Maharaj Yudhishthira? The first answer is that even though it is accepted that he was a Shudra by birth, because he renounced the world for spiritual enlightenment by the authority of Rishi Maitreya and was thoroughly educated by him in transcendental knowledge, he was quite competent to occupy the post of an Acharya or spiritual preceptor. According to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, anyone who is conversant in the transcendental knowledge or the science of Godhead, be he a Brahmana or a Shudra or a householder or a sannyasi, is eligible to become a spiritual master, even in the ordinary moral codes maintained by Chanakya Pandita, the great politician and moralist. There is no harm in taking lessons from a person who may be by birth less than a Shudra. This is one part of the answer. The other is that Vidura was not actually a Shudra. He was to play the part of a so-called Shudra for 100 years, being cursed by Manduka Muni. He was the incarnation of Yamaraja, one of the 12 Mahajanas, on the level with such exalted personalities as Brahma, Narada, Shiva, Kapila, Bhishma, Prahlada, etc. Being a Mahajana, it is the duty of Yamaraja to preach the cult of devotion to the people of the world, as Narada, Brahma and other Mahajanas do. But Yamaraja is always busy in his plutonic kingdom punishing the doers of sinful acts. Yamaraja is deputed by the Lord to a particular planet some hundreds of thousands of miles away from the planet of Earth, to take away the corrupt souls after death and convict them in accordance with their respective sinful activities. Thus, Yamaraja has very little time to take leave from his responsible office of punishing the wrongdoers. There are more wrongdoers than righteous men. Therefore, Yamaraja has to do more work than other demigods, who are also authorized agents of the Supreme Lord. But he wanted to preach the glories of the Lord, and therefore by the will of the Lord he was cursed by the Manduka Muni to come into the world in the incarnation of Vidura and work very hard as great devotee. Such a devotee is neither a Shudra nor a Brahmana. He is transcendental to such divisions of mundane society. Just as the personality of Godhead assumes his incarnation as a hog, but he is neither a hog nor a Brahma. He is above all mundane creatures. The Lord and his different authorized devotees sometimes have to play the role of many lower creatures to claim the conditioned souls, but both the Lord and his pure devotees are always in transcendental position. When Yamaraja thus incarnated himself as Vidura, his post was officiated by Aryama, one of the many sons of Kashyapa and Aditi. The Adityas are sons of Aditi, and there are 12 Adityas. Aryama is one of the 12 Adityas, and therefore it was quite possible for him to take charge of the office of Yamaraja during his 100 years absence in the form of Vidura. The conclusion is that Vidura was never a Shudra, but was greater than the purest type of Brahmana. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raguna Tanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamsta He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dheerabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So, we are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 13, entitled Dhritarashtra Quits Home, Text 15. So, yesterday we have seen how the Mahatma Vidura, being treated just like a godly person by his kinsmen, remained there for a certain period just to rectify the mentality of his eldest brother and in this way bring happiness to all the others. So his primary intention is not to enjoy those opulences but just to preach his elder brother and guide him in his right direction as he was misled and he was confused like to what path he has to take now. Because all the war has ended and he's getting now older and older. So, yeah, like Vidura is there to guide Dhritarashtra, King Dhritarashtra. So, starting from this chapter of 13th chapter, like Dhritarashtra quits home, the main discussion revolves around Vidura returning to Hastinapur after pilgrimage. So, Vidura was deeply respected by the Pandavas, especially by Maharaj Yudhishthira, because he was a great devotee and a spiritual guide. So, interesting thing here arises is like, Vidura was born from a Shudra mother. According to like Varnashram system or social hierarchy, such a person should not instruct kings or Kshatriyas. But yet, Vidura advised Dhritarashtra, Yudhishthira and the entire royal family. So, obviously, Jai Shri Shri Radha Sundari, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baldev, Jai Shri Pranay, Jai Shri Shri Gavantai Ki, Jai Shri Bhagavad Gita. So, one may have obvious questions like, how could it be possible? How could Vidura occupy the position of spiritual authority? What could be the qualifications for that? So today we're gonna see that because this verse reveals that Vidura was actually Yamaraj himself, the God who is responsible of hell. So Yamaraj, he punishes the souls who commit the sinful acts and so as we see, many people are committing sins, even they knowingly or unknowingly. So there are a lot of people Yamaraj has to take care. So he has a lot of work. So and Bhagavatam is teaching us three important philosophical lessons through this pastime. The first one is the real identity of Vidura. Next is the transcendental position of pure devotees beyond material designations. And the last is like qualification of qualifications to become a spiritual teacher. So today we're gonna see these three themes, and first comes first is like the real identity of Vidura, incarnation of Yamaraja. So as we see in the purport, it's been revealed that Vidura was none other than Yamaraja, and Yamaraja is the superintendent of death and justice in the universe. He takes care of the kingdom of hell. So every living being, every living entity, after leaving their body, it's been taken into that hell, and there they decide like if they have done good or pious activities, they are transferred to heaven, or else if they have committed more and more sins, and then for that sins they have to suffer the punishment in that hellish planet. So mainly Yamaraj, as we know, he examines each and every individual's karma, and he determines what's the next birth gonna be for that living entity, and he also has the authority to administer punishment for their sinful acts. Just like how we are having in today's society, like law and order and justice, court and justice system. So there are judges, there are courts, and there are laws, state laws and nationwide laws. So similarly, the cosmic administration also has the justice systems, and Yamaraja is essentially the universal judge. So here Srila Prabhupada explains that Yamaraja is not cruel, he just simply executes the orders and laws of the Supreme Lord. He was appointed by the Supreme Lord to do that job. Just as a judge sends criminals to prison, but he himself is not a criminal. So his intention was to rectify that the people who committed the sins and not to commit more and more mistakes. So similarly, Yamaraj punishes sinful souls, but he himself is a great devotee of Krishna. In fact, as we see in the purport, Yamaraj is he's the one of the Mahajanas, 12 Mahajanas, which are like 12 Mahajanas are as follows: Brahma, Narada, Shiva, Kapila, Prahlada, Bhishma, Janaka, Bali Maharaja, Sukadeva, Yamaraja, Manu, and 4 Chatuskumaras. So these personalities are authorities on bhakti and spiritual knowledge. And as we see in the purport, as a great devotee of the Lord, Yamaraja had a great desire that to preach the glories of the Lord. But as we all know how the justice system works, and in many countries like India or many other countries, it's been years and years long to get a judgment in a case or in some issue. So we understand how many cases are being filed daily, how many petitions are being filed, and how many crime incidents are happening daily, and at what scale it's been happening. So what to imagine? Just one planet, just one country or one state, we are having that much. What to think of like innumerable planets, innumerable universes, like how much the sinful people, like in one whole universe there are 14 planetary systems. So out of those, like how many souls might have committed many sins and mistakes. So by handling all those dealings with all the living entities who committed sins, he was very busy, and he had very little time to preach. So Lord has arranged in such a way that he took his birth in this material planet as Vidura, and during his absence, Aryama, who is one of the 12 Adityas, took charge of his post Yamaraja, and it's like Yamaraja or whatever, like Indra, like God of heaven or God of fire, God of water, it's all the position. It's not permanent that they're gonna be in that position eternally. No. that's not the thing. The position is fixed, but just as we see the example of president, prime minister, or senator or something like that. It's the position. The persons keep on changing like one term after the other. As soon as the soul, even the positions of higher authorities like Yamaraja and other souls, as soon as the time finishes for them, they have to change the bodies, because it is in the material world. So Yamaraja here, he, by the arrangement of Lord, he takes his birth in this material planet as Vidura, and during his absence, Aryama, who is one of the dual Adityas and son of Kashyapa, sage Kashyapa and Aditi, took charge of this post. So some of the takeaways from this section is like Vidura was not an ordinary personality. He was Yamaraj himself. And the Lord arranges circumstances so that great devotees can preach in this world, as we see example of Srila Prabhupada, how he had complete faith in Krishna, even though he suffered many health problems and various other problems, but still he has his firm determination and dedication towards his spiritual master's instruction to preach the Krishna consciousness to the West. So that much determined he is, and because of that determination and perseverance, we are here today discussing Shrimadbhagavatam and this amazing place of Devasudan Mandir. So next comes is devotees are beyond material designations. So although Vidura appeared as a Shudra by birth, but the Shrimadbhagavatam clarifies that he was never actually a Shudra, because Yamaraja, being an exalted devotee of Krishna and one of the great Mahajanas, of the 12 Mahajanas, he was never Shudra. So, but the curse of Manduka Muni caused him to take birth in that situation. But still he is not afflicted by the qualities of a Shudra. But internally, externally he may appear to be a Shudra, but internally he remained as a great devotee, a Mahajana, and an incarnation of Yamaraj himself. So this statement, this true knowledge reveals that a profound spiritual principle. A pure devotee is beyond material designations. Usually material designations includes like caste, nationality, birth, social position, gender, whatsoever that we consider in this society, how rich you are, how poor you are. So that kind of, there is no material designation for a pure devotee. Devotional service transcends all of them. All this gender, caste, nationality and everything, birth, social position. So devotional service and pure devotees surpass this easily. And even this is confirmed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says doesn't matter whether one is a Brahmana, a sannyasi or even a Shudra. If someone understands Krishna Tattva or Krishna consciousness principles, he can become a spiritual teacher. Therefore, spiritual qualification is not determined by birth, but by the realization. Prabhupada often emphasized this principle. In modern society, we often judge people by either external identity or educational status or social status or how wealthy they are and how rich they are and how opulent they are looking or how intelligent they are, how scholarly they are. But Shrimadbhagavatam teaches us to judge by spiritual realization, how dedicated they are towards their service to Krishna and how lovingly they please the other devotees and how well they engage among themselves and how intensely he renders his service to Krishna. That is the most important thing. I would like to quote a small analogy over here, imagine or take an example of a highly skilled personality like a famous sports person or as famous the popular doctor who is wearing an ordinary clothes for some short time. Does that mean like he loses all his like fame because of those clothes? No. Would we reject his medical advice or would we reject his sportsmanship just because of his clothing? Of course not, right? So similarly, spiritual knowledge is the real qualification, not an external labels. So that takeaways for this theme is like devotional service is transcendental to caste and social designations, and spiritual authority depends on realization of Krishna consciousness principles and philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And pure devotees remain transcendental even while appearing in material situations. So there are various examples like here in Mahabharata, like we see examples of Bhishma Dev, Vidura and many other saintly personalities, but still they are pure devotees of the Lord and they remain aloof from those material modes of nature. And last section for today is like the mission of pure devotees, preaching and delivering souls. The purport clearly explains that sometimes the Lord and His devotees appear in unusual roles. And as we see the example of the Lord has appeared as Varahadev, a boar, and Matsya as a fish, but he is never actually those forms materially. Similarly, Yamaraja appeared as Vidura, but he was always transcendental, and he maintained that principle of righteousness throughout his life, and he was very favorable to dharmic principles and even to the Pandavas. Vidura was very much favorable and he was protecting them, which is a great quality of a Vaishnava. So why do such great personalities appear in this world? Because the main intention of them to appear in this material world is like just to deliver the conditioned souls. How many possible for them, those many souls they are ready to take them back to home, back to Godhead. Because we, the conditioned souls, we are trapped in ignorance, karma, and also repeated cycle of birth and death. So the Lord sends His associates or devotees to guide all of us. So Vidura's role in Mahabharata was extremely important. He repeatedly warned his eldest brother Dhritarashtra, but still he never heard, never took care of Vidura's words. So finally what happened is the destruction of the entire dynasty, Kurus. So Kauravas got vanished, and because if at all Dhritarashtra tries to listen to Vidura at the starting stages, then he could probably be chastising his children and be nurturing them properly so that they don't they don't develop any envy or hatred towards their fellow family members like Pandavas. And Vidura guided the kingdom towards Dharma always. Every single instance he was alongside of Dharma. Later he also instructed Dhritarashtra. As we see in the upcoming slokas, he will be instructing Dhritarashtra to renounce material life, which shows the great compassion of extremely pure devotees. Even someone like Yamaraja, who punishes sinners, but still they wanted to help them spiritually. So understand that some people may question, oh, we are praying for Krishna, so will other demigods be dissatisfied with that, and will they be imposing some more and more troubles on me? But that's not the case here. See, as we see, the demigods are also devotees of the Lord, and they are the empowered souls who are given a particular responsibility to take care of. So that reveals that even Yamaraj himself, who punishes always the souls, he himself tries to help the souls in a better way. What to speak of demigods? As soon as you pray to Krishna intensely and you render devotional service to Krishna with 100% of your efforts and with more and more love and devotion, demigods, they themselves offer their respective obeisances to you, to all the pure devotees of the Lord. So how fortunate is that thing? So I would like to quote one more analogy over this theme. Like, imagine a strict school teacher or a strict school principal. Sometimes they may punish students, but the goal or intention is not to show their cruelty or anger or hatredness on them. But the main goal or intention is to correct them and improve them in all respects. Because if they are not corrected at that age, then it will be very difficult for the students to learn the etiquette after a long period of time. So similarly, Yamaraj punishes sinners not out of hatred, but just having intention to correct them and guide them towards spiritual evolution. And some of the takeaways for this section is like, pure devotees sometimes appear in unexpected roles. We don't even expect, these pure exalted devotees may appear as so-and-so in so-and-so personality, but we don't even have an idea how they appear. It's entirely depends on the will of the Supreme Lord. Also their only mission is to uplift the conditioned souls. As we see examples of our acharyas, how wonderful they are and how dedicated they are in the service of preaching. Srila Prabhupada and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhakti Vinod Thakur and all the acharyas and all the Goswamis, how wonderful they are and how helpful they are in preaching the Krishna consciousness and how attentive they are. And also, even in punishment in this universe is ultimately meant for spiritual correction. Because imagine a prisoner in a jail. What is the main intention of giving him punishment? Just to make him understand his mistake and not to repeat his mistake once again. So similarly, Krishna in this material world also, he arranges such circumstances that you will feel some happiness, but that is not permanent, because if it is permanent, everyone wants to stay in this material world itself. And he instructs his external agency, Mayadevi, to control this material world. She, at each and every moment of the time, she kicks us, like, she gives us trouble after trouble, trouble after trouble. Her intention was like, okay, if I give more and more troubles, at least at some point of time they may take the shelter of Guru or Krishna and they try to progress in their spiritual life. So she tries her best in making us understand that what's our actual purpose and what we have to do to attain our spiritual eternal position. So, the conclusion is that this verse beautifully reveals the glorious position of Vidura, and some of the key lessons for today's discussion is like, Vidura was actually Yamaraja, who is one of the 12 Mahajanas, and a pure devotee is never limited by material designations such as caste or birth or gender or nationality. The true qualification for spiritual leadership is the knowledge of Krishna consciousness or the philosophy of Krishna Tattva. And great devotees sometimes accept humble positions to teach and uplift humanity, because out of their compassion and out of the mercy of the Lord, they come down, they descend to this material world just to deliver the fallen souls, because they have no other business except that in this material world, as we do have. Like, some people may say like, I have some work, I have to do this, I have to go to my college, and they don't have any of those material designations or material obligations in this material world. So Bhagavatam teaches us how to judge people by spiritual character rather than the external status. So this is very much important in today's world, because everyone, most of the people, like if you see in the outside world, outside society, everyone are being misled in some or the other way, and they are trying to break the regulative principles, and we have to strive hard to bring them back, bring them into Krishna consciousness and awaken the dormant stage of Krishna consciousness in their hearts. So it's very important how you view the other person, not by just by material designations or material qualities. As a famous quote we all know, like, don't judge the books by its cover. So we have to introspect, like we have to see, we have to, as soon as we start thinking that we are soul and everyone is being soul, there is no question of any quarrelsome, any conflicts. It will be all peaceful, because if we understand that we are all part and parcel of Krishna, then what is the point in fighting with one another? Because everyone belongs to Krishna only, everyone are children of Krishna. So our eternal Father is Krishna, and He maintains this everything. So we don't know, like we don't owe anything in this material world, and we do not come with anything, and we leave with nothing. So that's the final conclusion of today's class. So, if there are any comments, questions, realizations for today, and I'm sorry if I spoke anything. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Anything else you want to add, Prabhu?
You can say about your experience.
My experience? Yeah, it may take long time.
Summarize in 2 sentences.
Blissful and awesome.
Nice.
2 words.
Every day it's a new experience, it's new lessons to take away. So, yeah, every day it's a new learning for me, and it's a good experience. Nice to, very fortunate to be here, rendering service to Supreme Lord Sri Radha Kunj Bihari, trying to enjoy every moment. That's what.
What you like the most?
There are many things.
Most?
Yeah, I like preaching. Before coming here, I did not get the opportunity to give the classes or lectures. But as soon as I came here, by the mercy of Radha Kunj Bihari, I got an opportunity to deliver lectures and classes. So, to share my realizations. It's very amazing, and various other services like making garlands, cooking for Krishna, various other services, and the association of many devotees and inspiration from various personalities. It's been a great experience for me, and a very very thrilling experience with Radha Kunj Bihari also many times. So yeah, hopefully continues. He holds me here, praying for that. So, thank you, Prabhu. Granth Raj Shrimadbhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.